Canso is the Canadian name. The British would refer to it as a Catalina, and the Americans would call it a PBY. PB, patrol bomber, Y made by Consolidated, the big company. And the Canso, the PBY-5A, was the descendant of, 20 years of flying boats by Consolidated. So yes, it was. It was a very basic aircraft in many ways, but it was very reliable within its limits. Then we had Pratt Whitney engines, which were great. They went on. Now, Wrights might not like it, but they used to say a Wright engine needs a reason to run. A Canso needs a reason to stop. So a Pratt Whitney. But no, it was very reliable. It was very basic. I had a general step through the wing one day. Blasted it. We used medical band-aids to patch up the wing till we could get back to Vancouver. The big thing, I think, for Cansos, it can land on the water as well as on land. So that let us operate all through the high Arctic. As soon as the ice went out in the spring, we'd go north with various resupply and things like that. And then around the BC coast, which is where we were stationed, we got into some very interesting and strange places on that. It drew about 4 feet of water, and you could go many, many places. We never got to try it, but we were told it could do 28 hours. It had these big fuel tanks. It's what the Canso is credited with doing away with the submarine wolf packs, the U-boat packs on the North Atlantic. Because prior to that, there'd only been some of the big ones, the Martin Mars, the Sunderland, but they're very expensive and very few. Canso, they turned them out by the hundreds. And they were out over the convoys. And if you look at the one in Hamilton, it's all white because that way it blends in with the clouds over the North Atlantic. And it could carry two 500-pound depth chargers on each wing. And the poor old submarine captain, he couldn't look straight up. So no, it could go out and they could fly out of Halifax and be out there for 12 hours or more and then come back in. And I mentioned night landings. They had that down to an art by then with putting down flare paths and that. So, no, it had lots of endurance. It wasn't very fast. It was 105 knots to 110 knots straight and level, which is about 120 miles an hour. And it was very heavy on the controls. It had none of the power steering that you get today. You really had to work at it. And because it's a high wing airplane to keep the propellers out of the water, it parasoled. It went through the air in curves, swinging like a pendulum. So you had to be in on the rudders and that. And when they moved us from Air Defense Command to Air Transport Command, they sent some of the Air Transport Command tech pilots out. And the one I was flying with, who had never flown a Canso, said, well, that's fine, but you're letting it swing back and forth. I said, well, show me. Well, within 5 minutes, his legs were cramping, and I said, no, you just let it do it. It'll do it all day long. So, no, but it was a great aircraft. It could outturn a Harvard trainer. I mean, for getting in and out of these narrow fjords, it was a great aircraft.